Rebuilding from nothing is terrifying.
You know, you can't breathe. Like, I still feel that now. I couldn't breathe. I was in shock.
What were your very first small steps?
Well, in the caravan actually, because there's a couple of things that happened there. So I vowed then I never want anyone to go through a really bad relationship like I did, and it's quite funny really. So in the other prior to that, like some of the other companies I worked for, I always like to see people happy. I've always liked seeing people happy. So I started doing a little bit of matchmaking for all the companies I worked for. And I get more excited than them. You know, I was like, oh, how did it happen? What was it like? You know, I just wanted them to be really happy. And anyway, long story short, so when I was in the caravan, I thought, and like computers were only, you know, they were out, and you know, but people, you'd have specialists to do coding and things like that. You know, you didn't have like websites like GoDaddy or whatever the others there are. So I decided to build my own dating site, and I did have some help. So I ended up getting like 2 or 3 jobs. So I was cleaning, you know, I was stacking shelves, I was doing all sorts of jobs to bring money in. And while I was doing this, you know, like building this site, I then thought, right, I've got to get coaching and therapy. So I trained as a therapist and a coach, but I'd done a deal with a lady. So, and anyone out there as well listening, you don't have the money, there's always a way. So you might not be that therapist or that person who can help you, but find others. So for me, I needed to find a therapist and a coach, but I didn't have the money. So we done a deal. So I said, look, what do you need? And she needed like help with bits of her business and that. So I said, look, you know, but I need to do the training. So we done a deal. So we done a swap. So I helped her with some of her work. She helped train me and coach me. And I did give her a bit of money, you know, like I just said, look, can I pay you in stages over the year or so? Because we done one-to-one training. And I trained as a life coach, a dating coach, an image consultant, and relationship coach. And over the years, so I trained as that. And the dating site was up, but the problem was with that, I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have the money behind me, and I didn't know how to move to those steps. So then I thought, right, okay, I need to study journalism. I then went and studied journalism. And again, nights, you know, I was working in the day, I was exhausted, you know, I'd be home 9 o'clock, sometimes late at night, and then you know, do some dinner and that and put him to bed, and then I'll be sitting there like doing my studying, and you know, 10, 11 o'clock at night I was exhausted, I was so tired, but I had this fight in me. I had to get up and I had to prove, I think, just to the teachers at school, or you know, even my dad would you know, I know he didn't mean it, but you know, words still hurt you sometimes, you know. He'd call me like, oh, you'll end up at McDonald's too. And I think I always had that in the back of my head, you know, that I'm gonna make something of myself. So I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Anyway, the dating site, I put probably 2 years of my time in that. I did get people on it, but it didn't really go anywhere. And to be honest, it was the same as all the other dating sites, and I just thought this isn't going to work. So I ended up closing it down and started doing matchmaking like privately. But again, I didn't have any clients, I didn't really have anywhere to start, so I started to have to do a lot of freebies, and again, that was freaking hard. But I think with anyone in a new profession, you sometimes have to start, you know, from somewhere, and you have to like maybe do freebies or, you know, get some recommendations. So I did over the years, and then I became really good, and I got better and better and better. But while this was happening, I was single for a while, and because I'd thrown myself into work, um, actually hadn't healed all of my issues, you know. So drinking for confidence still, you know, the mindset of like, you know, I was still thick and I was still stupid, I wasn't intelligent. So I hadn't dealt with the them inner issues. Long story short, was matchmaking, dealing with really high profile clients now, you know, like this was years later, you know, I'd worked really hard, I've written books, you know, really pushed myself. and I had clients flying over from all over the world seeing me, which was awesome. I thought, right, I'm good at this. But then my world went out this one particular night, and again, I didn't listen to my gut. And he's like a salesman. He had the gift of the gab, and he could probably see, I wasn't still in a position where financially, but I was doing really well, like with my career, but I wasn't where I needed to be because I'd had to build up from the ground zero up. And anyway, long story short, we got together, and he had lost his home, he'd lost his children, so I suppose they felt something in common, and I was always the healer, the helper, and I thought, oh, this poor man. And he told me a story that he'd lost everything, and then his wife or girlfriend at the time, so he'd left with his children. So I felt so sorry for him. I thought, oh my God, that's awful. So I wanted to help heal him, which I did. So I spent the next couple of years helping him, healing him, building his business because he'd lost it. So I built a business for him. And I'm thinking, even now, I'm looking back now, I'm thinking, Jesus, there's me thinking I'm thick and stupid. I wasn't bloody thick and stupid, I was intelligent. And I built all this for him. And over the years, we formed a relationship, and then we ended up moving in together, signed a contract. So, I think this is official. But I didn't know him because we would be seeing each other weekends, we'd be drinking. And that's the thing, on the day I was drinking, I didn't see all the signs. And anyway, long story short, he was a functioning alcoholic. But I mean, you'd never tell. You would not know. He's going into sometimes big business meetings, no one knew. It was quite crazy, really. I think because in my mind, when I'd seen, like, say, EastEnders and that, you'd watch Phil and Grant, and when they'd be drunk, they'd be falling all over the place. He did not do that, so I didn't think he was a drunk, and he would hide. So he'd go in the bathroom for an hour or two, and I didn't really even think about it. And then, he'd always be happy, and I'm like, and then obviously, as I say, when you got to know him and drinking, he'd be asleep in the afternoon, and then signs just got worse and worse, and he'd get more and more alcohol, and then it's the abuse. Then started I started to see the abuse. So I'd gone out from the fire, and this was even worse. This was twice as worse now. So I'll just give you a couple of examples. So, for example, one night we moved into this place, was really excited, spend the night together. My son was out, and sitting there watching telly, and he'd gone, he was a really good cook, actually. He's cooking something, and we'd had dinner together. And anyway, I was sitting watching, I'd been reading a book or something, and I was watching telly. And then I looked over to my shoulder, and I could sort of see and feel a presence. Anyway, so I looked over, and he literally was like, he's blank, and he was staring at me. And I went over, I went, are you all right? What's up? And then literally, bang, he got me by the throat, and he's strangling me. I can't breathe, like I still feel that now. I couldn't breathe, I was in shock. And you kind of like, not blacking out, but I'm like, he's going to kill me if I can't get him off. And although I've had physical abuse, I have had physical abuse, but this was different. I didn't know how to get out of it, and it was terrifying. And anyway, managed to escape, and I ran up the stairs and locked myself in, and because it was late at night as well, and I just didn't know what to do. I was shaking, I was scared, I was crying. But you only feel a failure then, because I've gone from one bad relationship to another, and I thought, how am I going to tell anyone this? What am I going to do? I was so embarrassed. I crept down the stairs. I was so scared. I thought, if I just creep down the stairs and make pushing against the door, and like petrified, thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to escape? And I could hear, like the floorboards moving, and I was trembling. I was scared. Oh, what on earth am I going to do? Anyway, so the next morning came. I thought, right, if I can get down the stairs really fast, I can grab my keys, and then I can just make a run for it. It's daytime then. I suppose you feel safer in the day. At night, where it was as well was in the middle of nowhere, so I had nowhere to go, nowhere to run. I just didn't know what to do. So literally, I come out of the room, and I'm like creeping down, like the hallway, And then I get down, like you do the stairs and it creaks, and I'm like, oh God, because you're just so nervous. And then he's there standing. What do you want? Tea, coffee? And I'm like, uh,
Huh?
what? I was in shock. You think, you've nearly tried to kill me. And, like really, like, I mean, I might have done it. It was really physical. And like, what the hell? I couldn't believe it. It just, I just never experienced it, with someone who's supposed to love you. And, anyway, long story short, I said to him, and normally I don't stand up for myself, and I said, look, I can't do this. I never had a man like properly. I mean, I have been slapped and that, but like not actually physically trying to kill me. And I said, I can't do this. And he was broke down in tears, and look, I'm really sorry. I never do it again. I'm just in such a bad place, and always had something, because I've lost my kids and because I've lost the business. I just don't know how to cope with it. And me being the saviour, you believe them and you think, oh, well, it must be just that. So you believe the story. You just think, oh, if I can repair that, if I can heal that, I can make him better, then he will be fine. And that's what I did. As I said, I tried to heal and I tried to make him better. I take him to AA, I took him to therapist, I tried to heal him myself. But you can only lead a horse to water. You can't make them stop. And I mean, there's lots of other times as well, like physical abuse. I just thought it'd be that one time. It was prolonged. He didn't do it until quite some time later. But yeah, he physically hurt me again. Yeah, it was quite terrifying. But while this is going on, so this is going on in my personal life, in my business life, I'm still helping people. And my mind is starting to I'm really starting to struggle now, because I'm just like, I'm trying to make everyone else happy, but inside I'm not happy. And anyway, very long story short, help. So while this is happening, so I'm doing the matchmaking, and there's a company in America. They've gone all around the world to try and find matchmakers. And I don't know how they found me, and I think I don't know if someone recommended me, I don't know. And anyway, they came to me and they said, look, we've been all around the world, we've got about 100 experts we've interviewed, and we'd like to interview you for a TV show. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm thinking, oh, this sounds fun, and this could be my way out. I don't know, I suppose, get out of where I am, and mentally as well, this could be some fun. And I needed fun and light in my life. Anyway, they whittled it down to two, and it was me and this American lady. And I was so excited. We spent months and months interviewing and meetings and that. And then it all went flat. No phone call. And believe me, you don't hear a phone call, nothing's happening. So it didn't. I contacted them. I said, oh, what's going on? And they said, and COVID had just hit as well. They said, we can't do it. It's not happening. They obviously used the American lady. And I was in bits, because I thought, this is my way out. I didn't, we had a rental, so I didn't actually have my own home. So I just thought, oh God, what am I going to do? Ended up leaving this house where we was. It kind of was like getting repossessed. And the car was going, this is over a period of time, because the money wasn't coming in, couldn't do the matchmaking. And I thought, right, sod it. The money I did have left, I thought, right, I'm going to create my own TV show, which I did. So I created my own, I wrote my own TV show. And it's quite funny, I partnered up with a lady who I'd helped somebody who created X Factor. So we created this TV show and signed contracts with the biggest distributor in the world. I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is going to change my life. And then we went and had a meeting up in London. And the partner who I was with at the time, still the alcoholic, he was getting worse and worse and worse. And I just didn't know what to do. You don't want to deal with it. But I've got to start to do something, because he's just getting worse. And I'm thinking, right, well, maybe if I get this TV show and I've got the contract, I get enough money, I can put him in rehab. Maybe this might help. So anyway, we went to sign contracts and like sort out agreements and how it was all going to work. So I had a meeting in London in this private members club. I went to this private members club, and I was quite excited, and because I had meetings before, so I went to meet them. And my ex had heard, or not ex, with the partner at the time, he heard the phone call and he said, "Oh, I'm going to come." I said, "No, you're not." I said, "No, please stay at home." I said, "Look, I'll be back later." And turned up at the club, feeling a bit sick, a bit apprehensive, quite scared. Thinking, "Oh my God, I need a drink," to sort of make me feel better and more.
Not again.
I got get some more confident. And anyway, who turns up? He turns up, absolutely paralytic. And the thing was, in this club, as I say, it's a very prestigious club in London. And the guy who I was with, he does lots of presentations there for movies and things like that. So he's very well regarded. And this guy, my partner, come in, as I say, we had a bottle of wine on the table. He downed the rest of it, which is pretty much all of it, and was pissed as a fart. Started shouting out profanities, like the C word and things like that. It was horrendous. So embarrassed. And this guy, obviously he's in the movies, he's a big director. He was humiliated. He goes, "We need to get him out of here now." And I just thought, oh my God. So we ended up carrying him out of this club, and I've never been so embarrassed in all my life. Got in there, managed to get him in a taxi, got back, and there's no point speaking to him because he was just, abusive and shouting and swearing at me and getting quite aggressive. And someone did try to stop him, actually. I said, "Just don't, sometimes you think you're doing good, and I can see, but when you're in the middle of something like that, if someone else comes in, it can kind of literally blow up." So sometimes you've got to, and I think for anyone out there, if they see sometimes things like this, and I know you want to help sometimes, I know I've done there as well, I've been trying to help, but the thing is, when you're in that situation, I knew how to diffuse him. Although it's ridiculous, and you think, my God, but I knew how to calm him down and get him back to there. It's literally just keep him calm and quiet, because if I didn't, he'd explode, and he could have hurt someone else. And that's what I was trying to keep things calm and sort of compressed. But this is like a pressure cooker inside of me now, all of this going on, lost the home, the first home, I've put money into this venture. I might have lost it all, my reputation, and just everything's bubbling up, and I'm literally starting to lose the plot here. I get back home the next day. I said to him, "I can't do this anymore. I just can't." And I said, "I'm going." And I actually asked my parents, and I said to them, because they knew he had a drink problem, but they didn't know it was this bad. So I went and had a proper chat with them. I said, "Look, can I please come home?" And I told them the whole truth. I told them everything. I think because when you're in a relationship, you hide a lot of it. You cover up for them. You not lie for them, but you don't sort of tell the truth, you don't sort of say how physical they've been and how abusive they've been, because you're embarrassed. So got away from him, and then that's when the abuse started. He just got horrendous. He was threatening me, trying to close down the business, trying to close down the TV show. And I mean, this was just what wasn't happening. And it's kind of going all tits up. And so that was happening. And then the business, I couldn't do it anymore. I just didn't have the energy to help anyone. And he was then threatening to kill me. He was threatening to, he was keep coming round. He was frightening me, and my parents were frightened. And my mum doesn't really, she's quite a timid person, but she was scared, and I was scared at this time. I was getting really frightened. And again, long story short, the police came, and they ended up arresting him. And the police were amazing. And I think if there's anybody out there listening, there is a thing called Clare's Law as well. Speak to the police, and they're there to help you. And what they all said to me though as well is document it. Now that can be hard for some people, because you know, if they can get into your laptop or your phone or your journal, but try to document everything you can. So I had filmed him, it's on my old phone, I filmed him, so I had some footage of him coming around and like being abusive, etc. And they got logs of calls and like the police, as you say. But I was always embarrassed. I thought, I don't want to ring the police, you know. I don't want to put them out. And but you know, that's what they're there for. And I think you've got to be brave. Anyway, so the police got involved, and as I say, there was lots and lots of abuse, but we managed to get him arrested. Then we went to court lots of different times, and we ended up, he was supposed to get like a order and a restraining order, so we got a restraining order on him, and he violated a couple of things, but ended up getting him away, which was great. But the thing was, for me then, that's when I fell apart, because he'd tried still in that time destroying my business, even frightened my accountant. I mean, my accountant's like a big businessman, you know, like, and he was frightened of him, you know. He was quite a scary person. So the business then kind of like fell to bits because I did. And the problem was, and I say this to anyone listening, this was my own fault in some ways, because the first time when I left and I went in the caravan, I didn't do the work. I didn't heal myself. I didn't look after myself. I threw myself into work and survival mode. I was in fear. But in a way, I'm still proud of myself, as I say, because I had to put food on the table. I had to do work. And but I didn't heal myself. I didn't look after myself. I was in the mode of fear. And in hindsight, it's a great bloody thing, right? You know, Grace, but I wish I'd stopped and looked at myself and thought, the root cause of all of this, a lot of it, was my self-worth, because I had no self-worth. My school days, you know, being thick, feeling stupid, not enough, not good enough, using alcohol, you know, and it was literally, I've had enough. And I collapsed and just fell down, and I just thought, I can't do this anymore. I literally didn't want to be here, and I did nearly go to end it again. And I just thought, you know, I can't do this to my son. But when you're in a mentally dark place, I just couldn't see another way out. And because he was frightening me, you know, as I say, the messages, the emails, I mean, you know, like some days I'd get, even within an hour or two, 83 missed calls, text messages, emails. You know, I was blocking everything, and then he'd find another way, and then he'd be turning up, and the physical abuse, the mental abuse, it was just too much. And then again, it was coming up to bloody Christmas, and I thought, God, I've got no money now. I've lost everything. My car had got repossessed. I'd left the home. I haven't got no home now. The money's all gone. And I was in the same position I was all that time, and I thought, I've got no home. You know, I'm like in my 40s now. You know, and what am I going to do? I just didn't know. And then that was when I kind of like went on a journey. And it's quite embarrassing, really, but because I'd never really been into church, because my parents hadn't really been to church, I googled, how do I dress to go to church, because I did not know, you know. And you're thinking that I had to put a bonnet on and a flowery curtain skirt, and I just felt really stupid. But anyway, went to church, and I didn't really speak to anyone there, and I sat at the back at the pew for weeks. And literally I'd run in at the last minute, because I didn't want to speak to anyone. I didn't even want to see anyone. And I cried for the whole, through the sermon, not like loud. I just, it was just literally, it's all coming out of me for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then as soon as he'd finish, you know, the vicar would walk down, and then as soon as he'd go, I'd literally leg it out, because I just didn't have the strength to speak to anyone. And that's kind of like when I went on my healing journey, and like, you know, found, I suppose, spirituality and, you know, God, and that's what healed me. I started that process of like healing and crying and working out, like, where have I gone wrong and what have I done. And the craziest thing is, though, you know, like I said, I'd learned all this therapy and training, but I'd blocked it out for me. I hadn't even thought about me. I was like I was a vessel. I was just running on empty. And I think a lot of us do. You run on empty, you don't even think about yourself. And I think when you've gone through terrible trauma, you need to stop and take a breath and actually look after yourself and get your ducks in a row. But think about yourself, make yourself a priority, because if you don't, I mean, I so could not be here today twice. So, I'm proud of where I've come and what I've achieved, because then in that room in my mum and dad's, like feeling lost and despair, I took a few years out and healed and started the process and started to ask for help, which I should have done. And I ended up creating, this I'll show you. So it's my magazine. It's called Mind Jump.
Mind Jump, yeah.
Yeah, and I created this something out of absolute nothing. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to give people hope and inspiration that whatever they've gone through, they can get through it. So I tell like stories like yours, Grace, or mine. And even like the front cover. So she lost a child and, wanted to end it. They grew up with no money, poverty. And I'll just tell you just one last story as well. Then was John. So John has Down syndrome, and he couldn't get any work or any career. He really struggled. Anyway, John likes making socks, and he's a real kind, fun character when we interviewed him. And so he said to his dad, "Can you help me make some socks?" And he goes, yeah. So this is John there and his dad.
Okay.
And these are his socks. They're really cool socks, aren't they? I think. Anyway, now John is the biggest sock distributor in the world.
Wow.
So that's what the magazine is about. We tell stories from mental health, well-being to beauty, fashion and property. It is a nice lifestyle magazine. It's digital, online and then print, but we wanted to tell really powerful stories that can help people, because there's so much fear out there in the world. There's so much depression. And if we can tell stories like that, and with what you're doing with your podcast, it can help people think, oh, if John can do that, or if Grace can do that, I can get up and I can keep going. And that's what we're all about.
That is very true. And well done.
Thank
I mean,
you.
we are only here to encourage each other,
Yes.
make our world a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. Make the world a better place and give people hope and inspiration. And I am doing a little plug here, but but that's why I wrote my book, excuse the French, but how the fuck did I lose my tiara? Because my tiara fell right off. But I wanted to tell my story. I mean, there's lots in there, so I haven't covered a lot of it because I just, I'll be here all day with you. But I wanted to tell the story just so, and they might see the patterns when they're from what I was going through, some of the patterns, but then also how I got out of it and how I started the business. And my business now, as I say, I didn't have a penny. I had no backers, I had nothing, nobody. I built it myself. And I've got a book coming out this year to sort of show everyone how you don't need nothing. You can create your business from nothing. And I've put in there lots of strategies how I've done it, because I've started many businesses. I've helped lots of companies, and I've helped lots of people build businesses with no money, literally. You might need an email and a domain, but I can tell you like how to get media and how to get attention and press. So I wrote this book to help people. Not that book, that's my love story book, but another book that's coming out just to give people the hope and strength. It doesn't matter where you are, what you can do. You can create and build anything from nothing. Someone who's dyslexic as well, can't read and write properly. That's my superpower, and that's why I always say to your guests who are listening, that is their superpower too. Just try it, and you actually never know. And the last crazy thing is, Grace, that over them years and that, I spent nearly 12 years working on this algorithm to try and understand, because everyone goes, well, if you're a matchmaker, you should know, because when you listen to other matchmakers, they're like, they might have been married once and they've had the perfect relationship. And I actually say, do you know what? you don't understand people because you haven't been through that trauma, those patterns. You don't understand what issues people have gone through. You need to understand that. So I spent then now, well, I suppose in probably about 13 years now in total, working out how these patterns are, where they evolved from, and how I can change that. So we've now got a dating app coming out. We've got like a waiting list which is coming out in, well, literally shortly. And then we've got it launching next year in the States and the UK. And it's not like any other dating apps. It it also helps heal you. It's not just there for, and it's not a swipe one. I literally, that just, you're going on superficial looks. I want it to have meaning and depth. So you might only have, like, say 5 or 10 matches on there, but those ones will literally are perfect. You'll have so much in common and connection. But all I do say is, though, don't drink on that date.
Well done and congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah. So anyone's journey, like as you say, we value Grace. Like when you're in that dark, dark place, and it is dark. It really is. But you know what? You have to look for just even a little bit of light, and that can make you put one foot in front of the other.
Thank you so much. This is absolutely beautiful. Be safe and be positive. Don't forget to visit our social media handles: TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram at Rising Above Shadows of Abuse. Thank you and bye for now.